Alright, we are going to be using SpeedTree 9 today to make a palm tree. I'm going to be using our photogrammetry tools to steal from this base, and we're going to make a little blend piece here, and we're just going to go over some basic palm tips and have a good time doing that. Hopefully I've got you guys jumping back in because I think I lost everybody, but that's okay. We're just gonna go ahead and get started. I made a second variation of this as well, just to show you you don't need a base to use these things. You can make these straight in SpeedTree. We got a little regular guy there. To start off, you're gonna go File, New to create a new file. I've got one started over here that's a blank, and we're just gonna go ahead and get started this way. Checking my streams. It looks like I've still got you guys going this time. Hopefully we will have good stream luck. Alright, so I went ahead and brought in some materials so we could save some time here. I've got a set of fronds, I've got a set of peeling bark, and I've got my Megascan asset that we'll be using for this. In order to show you how we bring those in, we're just going to bring it in a second time. SpeedTree 9 has a little bit of a difference here. You're probably used to seeing the Meshes tab and the Materials tab. Materials actually now has a couple of tabs within it, so that's why it might look a little bit different from yours. And welcome everyone who's coming back in. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab our mesh from our Megascan. And what we're going to do is grab, I've got it in incorrectly labeled folder, but we're going to do that. We're going to grab the highest LOD for this. Those are assigned to the actual geometry, and the mesh is what goes with that material. So we're going to go back to our material. We're going to bring in our material for that trunk base. Alright, we're going to grab that base, and I've made some barks in here already, so that's why these are in here, but we're going to remake those. We're going to grab the color map. If you've got them named correctly, they will come in automatically, but for the Megascans, you're probably going to have to bring them in individually. And sorry I cut off all of the messaging from the first bit there, but thank you for everybody that said hi, and don't be afraid to ask questions as we go. It's kind of why we're here. And there we go. Okay, I think we're in good shape now. We want to bring in our normal map as well. We're going to grab that one down here. This guy kind of been hanging out a little bit. I think we're going to fix that from happening. I'm going to grab our gloss map, and we're going to go ahead and add a mesh to the scene. This is in our templates. I did that kind of fast, so we'll go through this again. All of your photogrammetry stuff is down here in this little section, and we're just using your standard mesh. On the mesh tab itself, we're going to, that material that we just selected, we're going to go ahead and assign it to the mesh that we brought in. Let's go ahead and resize this guy. We're going to click on it and hit the mesh properties, and we're going to scale this down. SpeedTree has a use actual size, and that is basically, lost it there. We scaled it to 0. There we go. The actual size that whoever processed this in. We're going to make this guy a little smaller. The species I'm going to make today, I was kind of bored of the normal palms. We've got a coconut palm and a couple different palms in our store. I wanted to make this weird looking bottle palm. And so I did some research and pulled up some pictures of it. It's got a huge bottom, and then it has a little transition area there. They're just kind of funky. I thought it'd be kind of cool. We could paint some ridges on there in the end. And it had the clear frond tops that we can work on. So that's what we're going to do today. And one of the things that this base did was the bark looked just right to me. But I wanted to be able to change the shape. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the mesh converter to steal that bark off of there and then make it our own shape. Right now we have a black gloss, so we want to fix that. We're going to put the value back up to a 1. And we're going to make sure, we're going to click the wrong box. Sure. Yes, to answer Emery, you can use FBX or OBJ or XML files to bring in our meshes here. So, wide variety of sources. You don't have to use Megascans. You can use one from the SpeedTree library. You can use outside source or a photogrammetry stand that you processed. If you processed your own scan, you do want to make sure you're on the lower end. I'm going to go ahead and show the overlay text so you can follow along with my polygon counts up here. So you don't want to bring in your straight from bit. This one, I can't remember how big it was. It's about 12K, so it's pretty big, and we're gonna be able to slice some polygons off of this as we go. We did not import the AO map. I'm gonna do that real fast. We're gonna use the cavity map and just kind of fudge it a little bit because we don't have a true AO here. We just want the details to be sort of highlighted. I'm gonna contrast it just a little bit and see if we can get something out of that. And we are going to do our PBR settings. So on here, we're gonna boost our normal map just a little bit. We don't want to go overkill because it'll start to look a little overly emphasized, almost like a Photoshop filter. And we're gonna adjust the gloss just a little bit. Right now, I've got a pretty dark gloss, and I'm just gonna boost this up just a little bit, just because we're gonna see what we can get out of that. What I'm looking for is a nice little highlight for this thing to look nice and round. So if you shine the light on it a little bit and you can kind of see where the light's hitting it, it's enough to highlight the features and not enough to make it super shiny. There we go. And Elias, to answer your question about light maps, I'm in the Cinema modeler right now, so I don't have access to that. If you want to look back at last week's stream, we actually set a light map in there. We actually improved that just recently. We had did some tweaking there, so it should be a little bit easier when SpeedTree 9 comes out. But you're going to be adjusting those by weight. And so to answer Old's question really fast, just for kicks and giggles, about where we are getting our textures, we travel all around, and Danny mentioned we have the Arboretum and the Botanical Gardens. The local zoo has been really friendly for us, and we also have a lot of our employees just really love to romp in the woods, and so wherever we go, wherever we are, we're always looking for stuff. I have a pile of tree trunk stuff in my car right now, so we're all kind of always on the lookout for that. A lot of our like Chinese species and species from all around the world are often people who have collections of really cool plants. Some private collectors have even offered, like, hi, I have this kumquat species in my backyard, come grab it. And okay, I'm gonna keep going. I think I missed some, and Danny will get the rest. And we were adjusting PBR, and we're ready to go. We are going to add the mesh converter now. This is a brand new tool in SpeedTree 9. We've been using it for like the past, I don't know how many streams we've had so far, but a while now. You're going to attach the mesh converter to the mesh. It's going to give you a top and a bottom. If you can't see it, you might have to scroll out just to make sure you're looking for it, but it should put it relatively at the base of the tree. We're going to hit save real fast, and we're going to grab our T. We're going to click it. Once with the left mouse click, we're going to hold down T on our keyboard, and we're going to place it on the mesh, and this large voluminous pink thing is going to appear. It's not a Pepto-Bismol ad, it's actually our mesh converter. We're going to grab the bottom and do the same thing. So left click, hold T, and place it where you want it. So I want to grab on the tube section of the mesh. If you're using a mesh that goes in and out at the top sort of irregularly, you're going to have more trouble placing our mesh converter. But this one's a nice example where I can steal a smooth tube of bark. And Team Rompers down there, thanks standing for that mental image. I was thinking like coveralls, not like romping forest rompers. But I got what you mean now. Alright, we're gonna move this up a little bit because the bark area that we want to steal, I don't really want this mess down in the bottom coming in. I'm actually gonna do a convert in place so we keep the cool bottom. I could really envision this sandy bed sort of covered up in the scene with like a pine straw area. Down here, our beaches always have these. We're going to, I'm pushing the W key to move it into the screen space. You can push the QT to do regular screen space, or if you want it to follow along the trunk, which is what I've got it on now, I'm pushing the Q again. We're gonna nudge that up, and now it's in a good position. See that little leftover triangle down there? I don't really want that down here. This is our blend area represented in the orange, and the pink area is everything we're gonna be, our final texture. And we've got, the rompers is killing me. Alright, we're gonna move this up a little bit. We've got a big section here, and we really don't want to take any of this down from the bottom. So, I've got the mesh selected, the mesh converter selected, and we have all of these properties here. Clearance is going to grab any bumps or anything. We don't really have a whole lot there. If I had like a little offshoot here, I would want to have the clearance fully cover it. And we are going to keep a lot of these guys. Extra points is matching your accurate spine in the mesh, and so if you add more of them, if you have a curve, it will try to follow it. We don't really need that many in this mesh. We can keep it pretty straight. It also helps with the folding in and out of this texture down here. Let's make that a little bigger so you can see it. We'll slide that over and zoom out just a little bit. Hey, my steering's scary. Alright, we are going to make that blend range just a little bit smaller so that we don't have these loose triangles down here. If you ever get tired or you didn't place your bottom or top, you can always click these guys and center them. This little fast tool is on the Stitch and our other photogrammetry tools, and I use it all the time. Because I'm lazy and I like fast things. So we're gonna go ahead and adjust our blend here. You can see it at the top. If you need to change it, you can do blend only, and you can kind of see that little piece that you're getting there. But I really want to see how it's blending, so I'm gonna leave it on. I'm gonna put this on the Palm 2. These are just a bunch of different masks you can put over it. If you don't find one that blends well, you can just switch it. There's really far more than you'll ever need in this list. I use default 2 a lot, and I use the Palm a lot, so those are just my favorites. We're gonna stretch this texture to where we like it. I've got a little bit of color banding, and we really don't have to do a whole lot to get this ready. We're going to go ahead and go down to the bottom, and the final thing is to export this out. SpeedTree is going to instantly put it on there for us, so we're gonna do a really big one. We're going to do an 8K bark, and we are going to convert in place. I'm going to go ahead and save this out. Hang on one second. Okay, I've got a folder for converted bark, and we're just going to add. We'll add a stream to the end of it just so we don't get mixed up, and save that out. And we're going to let it do a little magic thing. You're going to see the scrolly reel roll for a little while because it's got to process that bark. And I'm just going to check and see if I'm caught up. It seems like I am. Oh, that's so sad about the tropical garden being closed. And we definitely, I think stuff is opening up and probably shouldn't be right here, but we've had access to a lot of parks, and there we are, and it's glorious and rather wide. Alright, first thing I'm gonna do is the subsurface and subsurface amount came in. We don't need those maps. I'm just gonna X them out. We're gonna go ahead and X that one out. And subsurface is on a 1, that's why it's showing up white, so I'm gonna put it on a 0. And we now have our new speed tree here. What you're seeing is a stitch that it has calculated for you, and the branch itself. And you can change now, this is speed tree, so you can make it as long as you want, and that texture is gonna keep going. And it's real wonky and weird. We don't really want it to go that tall, we want it to be kind of a short and stubby guy. And so we're gonna make it a little shorter. We're gonna bend that up. I'm gonna use negative on gravity just to kind of bend it up towards the sky a little bit. And we're gonna shape the sky to make it a little bit more bulbous. Now on the stitch itself, there are some scaling things here you can use. It's taking from the displacement map right now. That's where the bulge came from. What I'm gonna do first is actually on here, we're gonna use, I'm gonna turn the displacement down. I don't really think that I need it. This is the height map we produced. I don't have a lot of interesting stuff going on in there, so I really want to just hand shape this. And I'm going to go to our skin tab and use the ball shape in the bottom of it so it can be kind of a bent guy. And so I got this weird drunk base. You could spend a little more time shaping that, and you could go into our freehand mode if you want to paint this a little wet. But what I'm going to do is we're going to make a bark transition. So I'm going to make the top just a little bit smaller because it's going to kind of taper off. Go back to our skin curve and use the curve here just to kind of lower that out just a little bit. And we're going to use a stitch to blend our two pieces together. We're going to put an extension on this. We're going to go in just the band area. This is traditionally for just photogrammetry stuff, but you can use it for this, and I figured I haven't shown you yet, so why not? Alright, we've got it on there. You'll see the band pops up there. The stitch is being moved into position. I'm using the screen space keys again. That's WER. We are getting this centered with the speed tree mesh, sorry, the speed tree branch that we've made. I'm going to move it up to the top because we have so much space going on there, and kind of pull it over to where a place that's happy. You might kind of look straight down on it and see if it's centered. You can also center it by pushing the button again if you want to do that. This handy thing will align it for you, so if I want it straight out, I can send it that. I think it's okay right there, so we'll just see it. What I did for the green bark was I had a regular old palm bark that I brought in here, and I just tinted a little bit. Instead of bringing all the textures in, we're just going to do that. Literally just took some of the red out and pushed it into the green area with the gray bark before. And we are going to catching up on chat, but I can't do much about the Spanish. There we go. New bark onto our guy here. And this area is going to be real short. We'll shape it in a second. You do kind of want to make sure that the bottom area is shaped how you would like it. There's not going to be a whole lot different there. Maybe we will just kind of pull it back. I'm in node mode right now because it's got this selected. So I'm going to just go back to generator mode and give this guy a little bit of shape. I might make sure it's pointing up again. May add just a little bit of noise to the, I'm going to add just, I'm not going to taper off the segments quite so harsh there so that we actually have some at the top, and we should be good to go now. I'm in the Cinema modeler, so I am in high resolution now, and you should be able to see these guys transition. You know, we brought in the lower LOD resolution there. So we've got our stitch in place, and for this one we are going to do the exact same thing as kind of select our blend area here. Okay, and we have the blend only on, but we want to show the background and the blend, and there's our green bark. You can see it's kind of cutting into the ground there, and so that might be like more of a floating island. So let's change up our blend just a little bit. These guys are adjustable too, like if you had more that you need to cut off at the top, you can do clearance or clearance spread to boost that guy out. We don't really have a whole lot going on there. If you need to increase the space of the blend, like if you would like a bigger blend, not a sharp line, which I kind of want for this tree, you can just make that the height go up. On this tree, I didn't have enough section there, so that's why it disappeared. But we want to do something more like that. We are going to take our height and actually just do a little scribble on here. And this is going to change the lip. Instead of being straight across, it'll have some little jagged areas in there. Might be kind of hard to see, but it's actually changing that line there. We're also going to kind of come down here and this texture blend here. There's some stuff showing that you won't have later, but we're going to change that mask up just to see. Let's put it on Palm 2 just to see what we get. And that's a little smoother. We don't have those little pieces cutting in. And you can shift these guys around to see if they like it, where I'm happy with it. Now that we like it, I'm just going to send out a 4K version of it. All you need to do is create and apply the material, and it's going to bring that material in for you. We're going to do that. And I made a couple of stitches already. We're just going to call this one 3. And hit save. There we go. Since we're waiting on it, if you guys wanted to make this tree or something like it, the frond textures that I'm using are from the coconut palm, if you purchase that tree, and we also have a palm available from our sample files. So that's always fun. It's always fun to mix and match these guys. Now we have our beautiful little blend and we can kind of get to work. I'm going to go back to our reference photo. This one was kind of more of a soft green and tapered off. This one was showing, these are called spoths. I don't know if I'm saying that right either. But basically the parts of the tree that grow in a little V shape are the parts that will actually sprout leaves later. We are going to concentrate on making our fronds, the part that holds the leaves, I guess, come out in this little shape area down here. So right off the bat, we are going to go ahead and add some branches on this guy. I'm going to go ahead and add a cap as well. Typically on a frond, cap the inside and then just do our branches off. And we'll put something on that later to hide it, but for now we'll just kind of hang out. We're going to add a branch, and we're going to do just big branches for now. And we want to shape these guys. I think I was making sure, but you guys got that question answered, so I'm just going to kind of go back. Alright, so these guys are going to hold everything, and we are going to go ahead and get the number that we need correct first. We're going to put this on. We're going to push these up to the top with the first. And we really just want this little area right up here at the top. I'm going to make sure that's not too tall of an area. I might need to shorten this guy just a little bit. I'm going to use this in the length. We've added a % of the radius into your branches now. So it's saying that this guy is this fat around. We're going to try to guess what 10 of that is. We're going to bring that down a little bit. I didn't mean to insult the tree by calling it fat, but it is. That looks a little bit better, and we are going to go back to our branches, and I agree completely, Stigstag. Everything that we've added in V9 is really to add the art aspect back into our trees. Like, there's procedural when you can get them really, really realistic looking, but these extra steps just really help add a whole new element of creativity as well. We are going to change our bark texture just to start off. We're going to go ahead and make this material. I've got one in earlier. I'm going to use the bark material. Oh, wrong one. It wasn't the base bark either. I've got a smoother one. There we go. Not really a whole lot going on in this texture. It's just green. And that is perfectly okay. It's just gonna get real tiny. Now what we're gonna do to make that little fold transition is actually add a decoration on there. So we're gonna add a shell. This one is gonna get our bark texture. We're gonna pop that back on there. You have to scroll down for the texture in this one. I'm going to go into material and I'm going to select my bark. And I'm going to control our UVs real fast, just get this kind of shaped up. We are going to end up putting a cap on the shell, and that's how we're going to get our transition, our little lip going onto the stem there. We are going to cap that, and we're going to shorten these guys. I'm going to add a couple more in there just so we can see what we're doing with the UVs with all of them. Back to generation, we're going to increase the frequency so we've got some more going on, and that should be enough fronds, I would think. And now we have to use these to transition. So if we go to the UV here, I'm actually going to take out the offset on the shell itself, which is this texture here. I want them to all come out at the same spot on the map. And that way I can control that little line in there. And what I'm gonna do is just offset the whole thing to where it needs to go. I'm gonna only wrap these guys once. And we're gonna go ahead and go to take out that as well. And offset that guy. And so now I have a cleaner area with a stripe on the end. We're gonna go to the bottom of the shell. And our position, we're gonna keep that sort of like lower down. I've got a pretty big variation. If you ever can't figure out why your template is giving you a bunch of different sizes when you're scrubbing, just check those variations. Taking that out completely for now. We'll add a little bit back in a second. And now we have a nice little blended area. I'm gonna push that back up. And we'll see what we can get out of that. On the cap itself, I'm gonna slant that guy a little bit. So I'm gonna use the slope and kind of pull that up. And I think we're gonna turn it a little bit. So it kind of comes out of the bottom area. And let's go ahead and adjust the lip a little bit to get it to fold in. So the lip is gonna pull it in just a little too much. You'll notice I didn't do anything because I don't have any segments in there. So adding a couple of segments there will kind of help smooth it out. Let's go ahead and make sure that has a texture on it. And we'll just adjust the size of this just a little bit. We're going to adjust that with the scale so that it pops out so I don't have that cut in piece. So it's not pretty yet, but we'll get there. The first thing we want to do is look at the angle that we're going to send these out at, and this is pretty slanted up, and we're going to get a lot of the shape here. Now you could get the shape in the weld and stretch the weld bottom out, but a lot of your renderers will struggle with the opacity map in here, so what we're going to do is get most of our shape from the actual branch, and then let our texture blending get adjusted. So we're going to stretch these out to get them to the size. We're working with the branch underneath the shell. We're going to go to our length, and I'm going to use the percent of the parent. It's pretty safe for these guys to use an absolute amount for the bottom and then start using the percent of parents a little bit farther up to the top so you can recycle these for different shapes and things. And awesome. And you guys are talking about vine growth. You should definitely go back a couple of streams and check out our vine on the wall one. And we're probably going to do a couple more about growth, but the features there are a lot easier to run, and don't freeze up your computer, which is awesome. save really fast, and sorry, lost track there. Let's change the start angle on these guys. You'll notice also it's kind of a annoying thing here when you put a position on there and then you change the length. Well, the position you just set is going to stretch that out. So we need to go back and make that adjustment. Then we're going to push that back down farther than I thought it was. I don't really want that to go all the way down the branch. We're going to shape these guys as well. They're going to get really teeny tiny. I'm going to take the radius curve and we're going to put a point in here and we're just going to taper these off. And taper that all the way to the end. You don't want to get too teeny tiny, but that should work. And it looks very, very strange. We're going to change the start angle of these guys and kind of lift them up. And I really want the ones up here to be a sharper start angle than the ones down here. So we're going to grab our spine start angle and we're going to grab the curve. You're going to be doing most of your edits now. When you have a stitch on here, you're not looking at the trunk. We're thinking of this little small piece here as our trunk. I'm not going to rename it or anything, but that's what we're referencing. And at the top of the tree, we want a shallower start angle. So we're going to start pulling that up and getting some shape out that way. And really at the bottom of the tree too. You can drag this down or you can just go back to your angle here. But I probably should have had them pretty sharply up. We are going to go check out our wells. You can see this one turned out nice on the inside, and then here we've got some issues, like the branch behind it. SpeedTree 9 does have something for peeling bark, because it's going to be the exact same gotta make sure I missed your question and read it right. Okay, I might not be able to see. Cinematic quality in games. I think I'm up to date. Yeah, if you need to add peeling bark, we have a decoration generator for that. That was in V8 as well, but you can find it down here in your templates. Peeling bark, we might add one of those at the end. I added one in this bottle palm up here because I added some fuzz. Kind of fun. I don't think I added it on this one, but okay. We went to adjust our wells. I've got the branch selected and we are going to the skin tab. They are enabled. They would look like this if they weren't. We are getting rid of the filled ones. We're going to adjust that amount here. All right, so we could offset these to make them a little bit more frond-like, but I find that it's better to not offset these too harshly. We're gonna adjust the bottom scale just to bring it down just a little bit, and this edge branch and head to the segments. I'm going to add a couple more of those. I'm gonna just put this in render mode scribe so you can see what I'm doing here. Gonna add a couple more of those, and we're gonna taper them off at the end because we don't need them in the skinny part up here. And that would be wasteful. So we're gonna just kind of bring that way down there and bring that all the way down. And now we kind of got them cut. I would recommend cutting things as you go, or you can just build the tree out and go through and optimize it at the end. But if you do it while you go, you won't forget anything. While we're in